The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
This transfer story is from Sports Witness.
Portsmouth are in the race to sign Górnik Zabrze's Usman Sow in the winter market. That's according to Machajki.pl, who report on interest from the Championship club, Brondby IF and Victoria Plzeň interest in the 25-year-old. Górnik Zabrze took the winger from Liège SK in February 2025. He's impressed so far, scoring 9 goals and contributing 3 assists from 19 matches this season. Taking his performances into account, Machajki.pl say it's no surprise clubs ask about him. Portsmouth and Victoria Plzeň have both shown interest in the Senegalese attacker. He can leave the Polish club in this window. However, the report states the attacker has discarded the option of joining John Mousinho's side. The Championship club are currently 21st in the table, a point above 22nd placed Norwich City, with 2 games in hand. According to the outlet, Sow isn't impressed by Portsmouth's current sporting situation. Therefore, he isn't keen on joining the English club. Brondby could end up winning the transfer race after making multiple offers, the last one around €3 million plus bonuses. This is irresistible for Górnik Zabrze, who have to raise funds due to a lack of financial support from their owner. Machajki.pl claim it's matter of days before Sow leaves his current club. However, it's unlikely he'll move to Portsmouth in January.
2 or 3 things on this story. One, I don't think many of us have given a great deal of thought to the fairly obvious fact that with Pompey down towards the relegation zone, 1 or 2 players and their people, their agency, might say it's not a good idea to go there because you could end up being relegated and that wouldn't do your market value any good and it wouldn't do your profile any good. So think about a club that's higher up in the league than, say, 20th, 21st, 19th, which is round about where we are. The second thing, of course, is that the club's doing all it can to steer clear, to rise above, to get away from the relegation zone. So there's nothing more that they can do than they aren't already doing to achieve that. And the third thing that's worth reminding ourselves about as far as this story is concerned is it might be all hot air designed to increase the transfer value of the player in question. I suppose finally, fourth thing, would we be paying £3 million for a striker? It doesn't seem likely. Important though good transfer business is in January, it doesn't look likely that we'll be spending £3 million on any one player.
John Mousinho's explaining how come Harry Clout has had so many separate stints on loan.
We want Harry to play. We want Harry to play as many games as possible. It was part of the plan when we signed him on the pro contract. We've always kept an open mind. We didn't think he would impact us at first team level this season, so we wanted to get him some games and we wanted to get him flowing. So far, it hasn't quite happened. He didn't play a huge amount at Welling, bits and pieces, but they had a change of manager, which obviously didn't help. When that happens, particularly with young loan players, it's a difficult situation, and Welling decided to go in that direction. So because we had the loan ready at Havant, we decided to end it at Welling. It will just be good for Harry to get games. He needs to get games. It's not going to be career-defining, but the quicker we can get him playing, the better. You need to get that experience of playing first-team football. It's the way I did it. It doesn't mean it's the only right thing to do, but I certainly think that if you're ready to go and play first-team games, then it's the next level. If you look at all the under-21s programs up and down the country with the Premier League boys, barring the lads that are good enough to go into the first team, the big push is for the lads that have done their time in under-21s to go out and get first-team experience. It's a good pathway, but ultimately first-team experience is the one that gets them to where they want to be.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it, for a club like Pompey, because we've got some youngsters coming through who clearly have the potential to play first-team football at Championship level, or certainly League 1 or 2 level, but they're not there yet. They're not old enough, strong enough, big enough, experienced enough. They're not battle-hardened enough. And the only way that they can improve that facet of themselves, which is to be at least as old as they are, preferably a little bit older than they are, if you know what I mean, is by getting them playing week in, week out in a challenging footballing environment. So you've got to choose that environment very carefully. And of course, the manager of the club that you lend your player to has to be complicit in the overall plan for the player. A player who is going to play regularly for that club, but then the club will be able to accommodate that player leaving whenever at the end of the season. If the manager changes and you have a manager who doesn't want to go along with the deal that was struck between the club that's borrowing someone such as Harry Clout and the club that is lending someone like Harry Clout, then obviously you've got to think again. And that's what Pompey have done. So it's simply a matter of being reactive as well as proactive. So 9 out of 10, Pompey, for looking after Harry Clout. Who knows?
A speculation and excitement begins to mount now that the transfer window is underway. Much attention in and around Fratton Park is focused on the acquisition of a supporting number 9 to share the burden of scoring goals, with a misfiring Colby Bishop, an out-of-position Callum Lang, and a raw youngster in Mackenzie Kirk. The Pompey Sound news desk is confused and mystified as to the whereabouts of Pompey's forgotten man, Australian striker Thomas Waddingham. When he arrived from Australian side the Brisbane Roar, he was pitched straight in as a substitute, scoring Pompey's consolation goal against West Brom only 3 days after landing from Down Under. He seemed off to a flying start. Since then he's played just over 100 minutes for Pompey in a total of 9 appearances, spread out over a span of time due to a number of niggling injuries. Our records show that John Massinio commended Waddingham's competitive attitude during training, saying that Thomas tries his hardest every minute of every day on the training ground, and covering every blade of grass. However, the Pompey head coach warned him about overstretching, especially as the championship is a demanding and bruising environment. His glaring absences from the team and even the substitute bench is doubly confusing, since Pompey's need for a goalscorer has arguably never been greater in recent times. Fans and commentators note his track record as a young teenager in Australian top league football, scoring 11 goals in 34 appearances for Brisbane Roar. He only managed 5 appearances for Pompey with 1 goal in his first season, and only 4 appearances this season with no goals. It's a set of circumstances that lead to a suspicion that all may not be well with the youngster, and it will be interesting to see whether Pompey retain his services for the rest of the season, or allow him to go out on loan and gain valuable experience elsewhere.
It has to be said that it's understandable that there is speculation amongst some fans on social media. What they're saying is that the Australian, they're calling it an experiment, doesn't seem to be working. And we are have been deprived of the services of our Australian contingent for a disproportionately large amount of time. There's no question about that. However, different reasons in each of the cases, entirely authentic injuries which have to be dealt with. There is the possibility that the players themselves have been trying too hard in training, were trying too hard when they were on the pitch, or just found the whole business of stepping up a grade into the championship from wherever they were playing in Australia is just a bit of a bridge too far, especially when you're young and, you know, your system is still quite, I'm not going to say soft. There's no such thing as a soft Australian, but you're not as battle scarred and as bruised and able to, scarred is probably the word, with the rough and tumble of the championship. And so what would be a knock or a slight strain turns into something a little bit more serious. However, we have had, to my knowledge, we have had no updates on a likely return date for Thomas Waddingham, or whether he is not appearing because of injury or because he's got work to do. And of course, a large amount of that knowledge belongs to Waddingham himself, and it would be intrusive of the club to make announcements about his well-being one way or another. However, it's perfectly legitimate for fans and commentators to wonder, want to know, and then inevitably start to speculate. But let's hope all is well with him, that he turns into the asset that we bought him as, and he becomes an asset to us, not just as a saleable commodity, but a valuable player on the pitch who starts banging them in on a regular basis. And he scored a great goal at West Brom. Great goal. He scored a real sniffer's goal, and he took it stylishly. And he was doing a lot of pressing without the ball. Yeah, and he did it effectively as well. He's no hold-up merchant yet, but if he's watching Colby Bishop on the pitch and in training, he should be picking up 1 or 2 hints and tips. So fingers crossed that the forgotten man of Fratton Park is pretty soon a name on everyone's lips.